again, and welcome to the second podcast of The Obvious Ninja. My name is Ashley Barco, and I have my first degree black belt in Taekwondo. And in this episode today, we are going to be hitting up on what it's like to be a woman in Taekwondo and what that all encompasses, spoken by as a woman, by me. Alright, so for this podcast, I don't want to get too touchy-feely with it, but it's something that should most definitely be addressed, and it's something that probably people are a little curious about too, and that's really what it's like to be a woman in martial arts, particularly Taekwondo, because that's what I do. And really, the breakdown for women to men ratio is actually going up quite a bit, but right now, it's probably sitting around 20 to 30% of the people in Taekwondo, my school, are about women right now. So it's kind of a neat, empowering feeling too, being up all against these men. But one of the most neat and gratifying things knowing is that you can kick butt no matter what, and it's cool. Say you're Taekwondo and you're a girl, they think, oh, well, don't beat me up or anything, or remind me not to date you or anything like that. First off, that's kind of wrong, I would say. We're not out to hurt you. In fact, whenever I tell someone in martial arts, I want them to think as though I can protect them over me going to drop kick them at any second. That's really not the point of it. If that was the point of being in martial arts, then I would have no interest in being in it. Another question people usually have whenever you say you're in martial arts and that you're a girl, people ask, well, I guess you're up against men a lot. And to an extent, yeah, you would be right. There are other times when we're not in the same group or same competition as a guy would be. In particular, when it comes to testing for our new belt ranks, we'll be broken down by strictly belt ranks. It doesn't matter what gender you are when that happens. But the only real difference when it comes in terms of that is when we're breaking boards. Since men have a lot of upper body strength and women really don't, they're going to kind of take it easy on us. I remember when I had to test for my belt, there were some boys who were testing who were roughly my age, and they were breaking 8 or 9 boards, somewhere around that ballpark, not stacked on top of each other, but individual ones, maybe 2 at the most. For me, I was planning on breaking since I was over 18. I said, oh, I guess I'll be breaking right around 8. And then I was pretty surprised when my instructor said, oh, no, you're only going to do 5. And I was kind of blown away. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I can sit around with 5. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to show off my skills and show how tough I could be. But at the same time, they don't want you to get hurt. So they only set those precautions just for so you don't get hurt. And I kind of like that idea about our school, how they do take it easy for that. But then again, I wish I could prove myself. But then again, I'm not going to go arguing about it. Another thing that we also get segregated by gender is when it comes to tournaments. They'll break you down by your age group, your belt rank, and then your gender too. And they do that because of what is done at the tournament. Again, there's board breaking, so they're going to judge it a little differently based on who you are and what kind of strength you have. If they think you're going to be strong, oh, they're going to say, oh, you can break a couple boards. Versus if you're a girl and you might be strong, might be a couple less than the guys. So they're going to want to break you up a little bit when it comes to that. Another thing they'll break you up for with tournaments is when it comes to free sparring. You don't want some 6-foot tall man up against a 5-foot girl like me. She's going to get kicked and bad because they go all out at it. It's not kind of light touches, oh, I don't want to hurt you kind of thing. No, you're wearing paddings. They're going to hurt you. So they're going to segregate the men and the women for that one as well. And then the last thing they'll separate the men and the women for in the sport is when it comes to doing the forms that goes with the tournament. Because again, men can show off their really strong strength, and then women, on the other hand, they might be a little more flexible, and they'll have the upper hand with that. And then they'll be judged differently because they were able to do a higher kick when that might separate a better score versus a kick that looks really good versus the strength that a guy would have. So they don't want to give one person the advantage over the other, depending on who does better. So that's one of the other things that they'll segregate guys and girls for. Other than that, when we test together, it's all the same thing. We're all in the same boat. We're all testing for our belts at the same time. It's just the board breaking in that, and then the other time we're separated is when it comes to tournaments, and that's strictly separated by your belt, your age, and again, your gender. And yet another thing I want to throw out there when it comes to men and women being segregated would be in terms of when we test for our belts again. It's a little different, but it's something that's unique only to our school. And when we test for our upper belts, such as our brown belt, black tip, or our black belt, we're required to do something called judo. And it's actually a Japanese martial art, and it literally translates to gentle way or gentle do of way. And I honestly think it's the last thing from gentle, but I like to think of it as wrestling, but without tight spandex on. You wear a little bit looser fitting clothing, and you have nice soft mats to land on too. And usually it's just a one-on-one. Sometimes you can also do two-on-one as well, but usually it's one-on-one. And what comes with segregated with this one is when you're testing, they usually want the women to throw a man. And you're probably thinking that's kind of strange. The reason behind that is to show off the women's technique. The women, if they can throw a man, they can really throw anybody. And I'm not just going out on men saying, oh, you can throw him, he's big and bulky. That's not really the point. The point is that if a woman has great technique to it, she could throw the guy, and it makes her look great for her test. But on the other hand, with guys, they only want guys to throw guys. They don't want a guy to almost not show their masculinity by throwing a girl. Maybe it would make them look not so macho as they probably should, because when you test, you gotta look your best no matter what. So they're gonna have you throw a guy. And that's really the only other time that men and women are truly segregated in this sport. And I really like that we don't have that segregation there all the time. I like how they have their perks, like how girls usually can throw a really high kick and it makes them look great. I'm not saying that guys can't. There's quite a few guys who can drop all the way down to the splits, and I have no idea how they do it, but then again, they do. And then on the other hand, the guys, they always got awesome power that I wish I could somehow throw out. But push ups always help, and you're working your way at it too. Now, something else that people may or may not pose questions about directly at me is what's it like to be, for you in particular, to be a woman in martial arts? Well, my only response to that would be empowering. I love it. I like that I can do the same thing as one of the men right next to me can do. I like how we all learn the same technique together. It's not, oh, women, you kick with this part of your foot, and then men, you use this part. It's all the same, and I love how we don't segregate each other too much when it comes to that. Like I said, the only real segregation is for our own safety, and I'm glad we established those safety boundaries because we don't want to hurt each other from that. It'd be kind of silly to do that when it could easily be avoided. And I guess it's just overall, it's empowering. It's a huge self confidence booster, and I'm sure that's for any woman. If you ever see a woman walk into a martial arts class, they usually don't have their head down, kind of sagging. They're usually got their head held high, and they walk into that building like they own the place. At least that's what I do, and all my girlfriends that I have through Taekwondo, they're all the same way too, and they love it. They all know we're on the same level playing field, and that we can do whatever is asked of us too, and I love that feeling. So, with this episode conclusion, I hope that you learned something, maybe a little bit of a different perspective on the martial art, and I hope that you watch it next time. Thank you for tuning in.